and it's been a huge journey for me. And that's where I met her. Phenomenal young woman of South Africa and doing so much of work. Welcome, Gcotyelqa.
Hi, Fran. Thank you so much for having me, and morning as well to your listeners.
And this rainy Johannesburg day, well, welcome you to Salam Media. Tell us a bit more about who you are and your journey into this program, and why it's also important for you to be there.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I'm Gcotyelqa Jimlongo. I'm the programs officer for our Southern Africa programs at Futurelect. I started out at Futurelect quite early on, actually, in my journey. I am only 27 years old, turning 28 soon. And it was really sort of spearheaded by this passion for young people and to see young people making positive change in their various sectors, particularly within politics. That's where my passion lies, and being able to equip and empower young people to do meaningful work in that sphere is something that I believe in, and that Futurelect really strives towards. Yeah.
So you've been here for a couple of years now. What has been a significant moment for you at Futurelect, and what stands out for you as something that you're actually doing something that matters, that is contributing to change?
Yeah, I think a big moment for me was last year. 2024 was an incredibly massive year, dubbed as the year of the election, really across Africa. And that's also when we started our Women in Public Office program for South African leaders who want to get into the national and provincial elections, or rather who are running for the national and provincial elections in 2024. And we saw scores of young women and non-binary individuals wanting to enter into this program. And we had a class of 15. It was our first ever class of the South Africa Women in Public Office program. And 13 of those women actually ended up running in the election. And so we've seen young sort of MPLs and MPs enter into office within the 2024 elections. And that's been really wonderful to watch. And beyond that also is our civic education work, where we really aimed to build content that aims to equip scores of young people, whether in terms of a variety of education levels, variety of backgrounds and contexts, and to really provide them with the civic education knowledge that they need to be able to hold their leaders accountable. And so I think those two things have really, for me, been incredible.
Truly a standout program, because the fact that you now can say you've had people who've come through your program who are councillors, who are in parliament, who are contributing in offices of ministers. What does that say about the investment placed in young people and the need for this type of investment? Because I'm acutely aware of the places that Futurelect takes you on tours, and the type of conversation you have when you host panel discussions. Why is that necessary? What is the problem statement that you're trying to solve for?
Yeah. A big part of our work is really trying to infuse our country, our continent, the region as a whole, with ethical leaders, right? I think the big issue that we face is that, first of all, we have aging leadership in political office. And so we need young people to be able to speak on behalf of other young people, because that is the sort of majority population on the continent. We have a youthful population, and a population that wants to be able to make their voices heard. And we believe that in order to do that, we need to be able to provide young people the necessary tools and resources to make that happen. And one part of that, we work on the sort of supply and demand side of politics, is what we like to call it. And what that is to be able, on the civic education side, equip young people to call their leaders to account, whether they're seeing instances of corruption or unethical behavior, to be able to actually know that these are the kinds of things that I can do to call my leaders accountable, whether it's participating in committee meetings, whether it's being able to, lodge anything in Parliament, all of those online and offline forms of activism, we try to be able to make young people aware of the various avenues that they have to call their leaders accountable. And on the other side, it's through our programming, Ifan, one of which you are part of, where we really try and equip young people in the systems, which is the sort of civic education and political systems of it all, so that you know the kinds of systems that you will be functioning within when you are in government and in elected office. And to also then go on a transformative journey, right, and speak to some of the things of, the personal elements of why you actually want to be a leader. And then also equip you with skills that you will need to adequately thrive and survive within political office. So those are the kinds of things that we do within our work to speak to this issue of, first of all, an aging leadership, the problem that we have in our continent, and second of all, an issue of
It's
ethics
aging
in our
leadership.
continent.
So I want to come in there. You're saying aging leadership, and the problem statement is that there's only 5%, more or less, young people in parliament in South Africa. And globally, it's about a similar average if you consider youth in parliament, or at least involved in political office. Is there a need for that type of relevance? And I want you to also highlight that you just mentioned now the investment in young people from a personal journey, because there's perception of politics being what you see in the public eye, but the realities are very different. And there's a lot of investment in the program to center oneself in this process. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. So we believe that a lot of issues, or rather problems, that leaders eventually face when they get into politics are around those personal elements, right? Questions around, why you actually want to lead others. What is it about your personal journey that makes you want to lead others? Because things like sort of ethical conundrums such as corruption don't just come out of nowhere, right? A lot of the times, some of those things aren't necessarily the grand sort of corruption scandals that we hear about in the news, but some of them can be a little bit more sort of minute or personal focused, where it's an instant where a young father, for example, wants to be able to take their child to school, and there's those sort of internal struggles as well. And so we speak to that. We speak to issues around what is it about the personal that will impact your politics and your leadership as well, especially around money, especially around power and how you lead others. And so those are some of the things that we really try to tackle in the program. Because also there's things such as, our elected leaders run billions of rands worth of budgets, right, that are meant to actually help their constituents and the people that elect them. And that's when we see the wheels starting to fall off really in power. And so speaking to those things are incredibly important, and understanding your personal motivations for power are incredibly important.
100%. And we'll pick up on that after the break. We have an air break now, and we'll speak about corruption very soon.
Awesome.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
It's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying, or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
This Ramadan, the PSA will again bring Palestinian voices to you. Join us from Monday to Friday at 4:30 p.m. on Salam Media as we bring you authentic grassroots insight on the day-to-day lived experiences of Palestinians and their struggle for justice and equality. Also join our mass iftar at Emerentia Primary School on Saturday, 15 March from 5:30 p.m. Importantly, support our humanitarian aid drive to support healthcare and housing in Gaza. Contributions can be deposited into Palestine Solidarity Alliance, Absa Bank, account 4070101666. Kindly reference regarding Zakah or Lillah. For further information, call 082-513-3750. Join our socials for updates on upcoming events, programs, guests, and podcasts. Contact 082-513-3750.
Freedom Stationery supply Marlin and Marlin Kids pens to me and my school friends. They supply just about everything we need to help us get a better education, from books to files to rulers. In fact, any any accessory we need. Freedom Stationery. Education for the nation. What does accessory mean?
Abu Huraira narrated that he heard the Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, say, "In black seed there is a healing for every disease except death." This Ramadan, experience the health benefits of this ancient blessed seed by using the Tib Black Seed range. Black seed assists the body to boost immunity, regulate blood sugar levels, reduce inflammation, and act as a potent antioxidant. Experience a holistic approach to health by introducing the Tib Black Seed range into your Ramadan routine. Available in capsules, pure cold-pressed oil, and a vapor rub. Trust Tib Health Sciences for quality black seed products. For more information, visit blackseed.co.za. Available at leading pharmacies.
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Salam Media. This is News and Views with Irfan Mangera. I'm your host and presenter for today, and Juma Mubarak to those just joining in. We're having a conversation with Gcotyelqa Jimlongo, who's the Programs Officer at Southern Africa Futurelect, a program investing in the future and current leadership of our country and the continent, with programs now stretching all the way up until East Africa, if I'm correct. Welcome back. We were speaking just before the ad break on this investment in young people as ethical leaders and the fact that it's also about what the motivations are for leadership, because different people have different motivations. And I remember very interestingly that we had this conversation in our cohort about what's your number, because people said it's not possible for us to have this idea that you can avoid corruption completely. There's at least some number that will convince someone eventually to be corrupt, or some motivation. Is that true? And is there a sense that we, with the right investment, the right ethical grounding, we can change the kind of culture that exists in our country and the continent as a whole? Because that we see it so often. We see the willingness for leaders to steal more than they actually do good and serve communities. What's your take on that? Is it working?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely a cultural thing, as you rightly point out, Irfan. I think there's a deeply sort of inhumane aspect of corruption as well, in that it's not just about a number, right? That number is actually impacting actual lives and people and their ability to actually, live sustainable lives, live lives that can conceive of joy and humanity in and of itself. And so the kinds of leaders that we get into office are actually responsible for the quality of life that people are able to live. You're actually taking away from someone's mouth and someone's livelihood when you engage in corrupt activities. And so part of our sort of belief is to be able to inject ethical leaders into office and in the continent as a whole. We've now expanded to East Africa, as you pointed out. And so we're really trying to make the case for what would a continent of Africa look like that has ethical leaders at the helm. What does that look like for the everyday lives of the people that choose to put their trust in our leaders? And what does those things actually look like? And so it is a culture, it is something that we need to do away with, but the personal is also very important there, where we ask our fellows a lot, what is your number? And we try to deal with that as well within the program, in that, what are some of the elements that would lead you to end up being corrupt? Is it because of your family background? Is it because of the ways that you grew up? Is it your relationship to money? And so we deal with those things as well on a practical level, to be able to speak against this culture of corruption.
One of the things that I think also the Futurelect program really brought out was the pastoral program and this ability to connect to each other. I mean, you had young people, the cohort, who were based from different political orientations, different ideals, or belief systems. And I think there's some beauty in the fact that we had to reshape our own thinking about how do we collaborate with each other more and engage each other on actual fact. And do you think that in the time and the moment that South Africa and the globe is moving towards, this idea of collective governance, of shared governance, is something that the program teaches well? And how do we take, and how do you view this moment of a co-governance in our cities, in the GNU, for example, and what benefits does a program like yours offer for young people who are saying, I come from different orientations, and perhaps this is something that actually might benefit me to see, to move into the future with?
Yeah, definitely. So the beauty about our program is that it is completely non-partisan, which means that we really try and attract young people from all walks of life, from all political ideologies, and we try to be able to bring about a world that says, the beauty about our democracy is that all of our voices can be heard, and that if we end up working together in various ways, we can actually bring about the most change together, not in silos, not in our own work streams, separate from each other. And I think even the beauty of programs such as the Southern Africa Public Leadership Program that you were a part of is that there's young people from various political parties, various political ideologies, who come together with their different strengths, strengths in terms of their work lives. So other people working in climate change, other people working in gender justice, for example. And what we try to do is to bring those different kinds of people together in a room, because eventually when we do lead, it will require a space such that young people are able to come together in their different walks of life and their different political ideologies and agree on certain things, and perhaps even not agree on others, but to be able to still have the best interests of the electorate at heart. So that is really what we try to bring together, and allow a world where different worldviews and beliefs can be able to coexist, for the betterment of the people that actually elected them into power.
100%. And I think I continue to benefit from that kind of rooting and rootedness that Futurelect offered me. I want us to briefly speak about the civics program, because a lot of investment, particularly in the last election, went into the app that you have. And I found it very exciting, especially as a civic education educator. This desire for an active society, or at least an informed society, number one. And one, where can people access it? Two, what is it about, and why do you think that we need more citizens and perhaps people watching here to spend some time going through the app and the content that you've developed so far?
Yeah. Absolutely. So the app is available for download on Apple iOS, Google Play Store, and Huawei. It's also available online on a web browser. So if you search for Futurelect, you will be able to find it as well. Even on those Play Stores that I mentioned, if you search Futurelect, with one E. You will be able to find it and download it as well. And how we designed it was really to speak to, everyday citizens have these questions that they ask themselves. How can I be more involved? What can I do to call my leader accountable? How is the president elected? Questions like that we take for granted that people know, but they actually don't. And so what we try to do is we frame the content as questions that people could ask themselves, or that people are asking themselves rather. And we have these bite-sized videos, less than 3 minutes long, that really try to speak to the actual content that people need to receive. And so that's the kind of structure of the content. We've made it such that it's quite interactive, with quizzes as well. So you can also, test your knowledge, and just test, where you're at in your learning as well. And the whole idea really was to reach the average South African everyday citizen, no matter where you are, to be able to have that knowledge at the tips of your fingers and access it quite easily. So yeah, we really hope that your listeners and your viewers will be able to go out there, download the app, go onto our website, and also engage with the content there as well. And also on our social media, we post quite a lot of exciting short videos as well, that speak to current things that are happening, things like the budget speech and the conversations there. So we really try to also speak to the things that are happening in the country and give people actual knowledge that is at their fingertips as well.
And it's important to have at your fingertips, because democracies don't work at all if the voter base and if the population, not just the voter base, even if you're not voting, you still have a right to contribute and shape society. So we want to wrap up, and thank you for joining. But before we do so, I want to ask you to send a message to young people listening on why they should invest in themselves as young people in their own society, and whether or not your program is the space. Why should your program be where the best young people in our communities who are quite active, who are interested to lead, are able to join you? And where and how is that process possible? Is it a year-to-year application? Where can they find more information to wrap up this show?
Yeah, thanks, Irfan. The reality is that, young people are already doing it. They're in grassroots activism. They're advocating for social justice. But we want to be able to get them into the program through our Southern Africa Public Leadership Program, our South African Women in Public Office Program. We currently do have a cohort running for the SADC program. So the applications for that aren't open. But leading up to the local government elections in 2026, which we're so excited about, we will be trying to get young women who are running in the local government elections to apply for that program. And so please keep an eye out on our social media. That is Futurelect.org. In terms of opening applications for that and application deadlines, etc. We will be posting all of our information on social media as well as our website. So please continue to follow us. If you're a young person out there who wants to make a change, who wants to be in elected office, this is the program for you. It will equip you, it will empower you to make the necessary change that you want to make for your electorate.
Gcotyelqa, Jimlongo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's a rainy Johannesburg morning, but we appreciate the insights on the work you're doing to invest in young people. And that's incredibly important for investing in not just the future leadership, but leadership who is rooted in ethics, who are going to contribute to shaping our society from today. So thank you, and have a very good day further. All the best to the Futurelect team.
Thanks so much, Irfan, for having us. Thank you. Goodbye to you and your listeners as well. Cheers.
Goodbye. And yeah, we are. Next up is an ad break, and we'll be back with speaking about Al-Quds Day and the importance of Al-Quds Day in relation to Palestine solidarity. Thank you.